One. And we're back with another episode of Curling in the Squat Rack. We are on our second episode of the training principles with, of course, my co-host, Mr. Chad Vandal.
Hello.
And we got a special guest, John Q. Publis.
Hello, man. Glad to be here.
Today we're going to be talking about frequency and how it is used to help your workout and, factors in using it. Because not everybody's the same, so we can't just say we should squat, bench, deadlift every time we get in the gym like our Lord and Savior, Mr. Ripito. So with training frequency, what I've noticed is the less amount of time you've been training, the more often you can train a muscle group. Age, of course, comes into a factor, but it seems like from at least the studies, you can train or you should train something every or twice a week. What are your guys' thoughts on the twice a week training philosophy, trying to get basically push-pull legs twice a week, so you're lifting 6 days a week? Is that what you guys do, or?
So I generally lift 6 days a week. I kind of have this weird modified bro split that I've kind of crafted for myself. It's pretty much a push-pull legs because I hit legs basically 3 times a week because it's a weak point for me, and I'm trying to bring it up, so I'm training it more frequently. But yeah, I mean, why not? Yeah, why not train? I mean, it's. I'm a firm believer that you should listen to your body. If your back's tired, don't do heavy deadlifts. Don't do 1,000 pull-ups. Do something else. I think you need to be able to kind of tailor you, unless you're on a specific program and you're training for like a particular event. You need to have a little bit of fluidity in your training where, all right, something doesn't feel exactly right, I'm going to switch it up a little bit. No, that's not to say, oh, I'm tired and I don't want to deadlift today, right? Because everybody's been there. Sometimes you just have to push through it, and you're better for it in the end.
Yeah, you got to develop those instincts when it's time to push and it's time to kind of lay off a little bit, maybe get more of a pump. And I mean, personally, I'll just preface what I'm saying by saying I'm strictly a bodybuilder, so my training splits are going to be different probably than many listeners. But when I first got started, I would definitely do very much the push-pull leg split, go pretty often, but I wouldn't do a ton of sets. I think volume has a lot to do with it too, as far as how often or frequently you're going to be able to train. Like if you think you're going to do 35 sets of legs and then train 2 days later, you're probably not going to get optimal results.
Naturally.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
These bodybuilders, they do they'll do leg day once a week. Well, their volume is 3 days of starting strength. Me and Chad have actually talked about this before. I'll be talking about doing 5x5s, and he's like, "That's a warm up, bro. That's that's no volume at all." I'm like, "I'm doing it 3 days a week, man. Leave me alone."
No, it's absolutely true, and it's one of the things that I did with when I started kind of creating my program was like I have a heavy day and a light day built into it because I realized I was missing out on type like what's it called? It's still early, guys. No, the heavy. I was missing out on a lot of heavy stuff because I was training such high volume all the time, and I was kind of in a somewhat of an informal competition to see who could get a 500-pound squat, and I'm just not going to get there, guys.
This shit's tough. Some of that's like, I mean, it's funny. Some of that's well, actually a lot of it's genetic too. Like, for example, I know a guy, I mean, he's definitely bigger than me, but he trains pretty infrequently, maybe a couple days a week, not too serious about it. And the guy's got close to a 500-pound bench. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? Killing myself forever.
Yeah. No,
And I'm not
I get it.
even, I'm not even sniffing that. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So there's some things it's good that you acknowledge what your limitations are. I mean, it's you definitely don't want to be in a position where you're saying, oh, I can never do that, but and you're shortchanging yourself versus being realistic and going, all right, this is either probably not in the cards, or it's going to take quite a bit of time to get there, and maybe some extra help.
I fully acknowledge that if I got on a powerlifting type program and trained specifically for a 500-pound squat, I could get it. Like you want to talk about like acknowledging limitations or whatever. And I think that there's females out there that can squat 500 pounds. And I don't want to be like, well, if a girl can do it, you can do it. Because I don't know, maybe not. But no, I firmly believe that if you set your mind to something, you can do it. But you just have to train for it, eat the right way for it, and rest the right way for it. And we live in a society, and I like nachos.
So, John, do you want to describe your training? Being a pure bodybuilder, I'm kind of intrigued to hear what you like to do for your training regimen.
Sure, yeah. So at present, I'm doing body parts. Usually, I hit it every 6 days. That's been my sweet spot, I've noticed. And my volume is decent, but not crazy. So I'll usually do something in the ballpark of 15 to 22 sets for back, again, depending on what types of exercises I'm choosing. I train traps with back, and I usually do 4 to 6 sets on that. And normally what it looks like is something like I'll do chest and probably 12 or 13, maybe 14 sets of chest. Chest grows easy for me, so I don't feel like I don't try to just go crazy. I do a lot of drop sets, and I consider the drop set to be a set, even if it's like a quadruple drop. So some of these numbers are a teeny bit deceptive. And
cosign on the drop sets; those are amazing.
Yeah, they're great, right? Yeah.
So for newer lifters, especially since this is like a training principle type thing, explain your drop set. What would you consider a drop set on your bench?
So basically, I would do something like I don't know. I'll just use 315 as an example. I would do something like get as many repetitions as I can for that. Base racket, strip a plate, get as many as you can for 225. Same thing, rack, strip, then 135, as many as you can. It's a good intensity boosting principle. It's a good way to get extra volume in there and push beyond failure. And also, if you're more concerned with volume, the way I use it is if I can't get at least 8 reps of something, I'll do it's a rule that I have that I will do a drop set. But it also allows me to kind of push my ceiling and try to still incorporate some strength principles in there and not lose some of that power. So like if I'm trying to really push some heavy weights, or heavy for me anyway, I'm sure there's people out there that would laugh at them, but then it allows me to still kind of incorporate some of that in there. And I still do all the compound lifts. I just do more reps of them. And I borrow some Mountain Dog stuff. This guy, John Meadows, I incorporate some power bodybuilding. So I do some things that a power lifter would do, but I do them as a bodybuilder. So for example, a lot of power lifters would do rack deadlifts, and I'll do them too, but I do higher repetitions on them. And I just try to isolate my back, for example, if that's something I feel like I need to work on. So that's kind of how my training split goes. So it'll be chest and abs. Then I'll do back and traps, and then shoulders and arms, legs and calves, and then rinse, repeat. I usually ends up being 5 days a week, but sometimes 4. And I also try to sprinkle in a ton of cardio and
We out here cardio posting. I like it.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So even I was talking to somebody about this. We're getting close to fall, which means we're getting even closer to my favorite holiday of Gainsgiving, which is the official start of bulking season. And that means you still have to do cardio when you're bulking because you don't want to be a slow fat ass. You want to be a big fat ass. So yeah, no, I'm glad to hear that there's other people that are still. I mean, I would imagine that anybody that's training or like a bodybuilder wants to keep low body fat, so they're gonna keep a little bit of cardio going.
Exactly. I always do a 12-minute cardio warm up regardless of what I'm doing, just to get the blood.
12 minutes. All right, why 12? Because I do 15, but that's
15,
just because 15 is easy to look at a clock and say, all right, the big hand is here. Now it's here. Got it.
I read something. I read something somewhere that after 12, it turns into your body like switches over to endurance mode or something. I forget exactly what it was.
I'm all for it. If I have to do 3 minutes less of cardio because science, I'm there. I'm bought.
Yeah,
You're sold me.
I can't cite the study. I can't remember even if it's true.
I'm gonna cite you.
I remember reading it one time, and so I was like, okay, this is my new one. But I just stuck to it.
Chad's actually bullied me into doing cardio and warm-ups and stuff. I used to just walk in, do some stretch, do some foam rolling and some active recovery type stuff, and then start lifting. Now I'm hitting that rower. I prefer the rower over anything as far as cardio goes. I don't know if I just feel like I get a pump from it in comparison to like walking or jogging, but that's cardio's cardio, I guess.
It also depends, like if you're like I do a lot of I've got a treadmill at the house, right? So if I wasn't up talking to you amazing people, I'd probably have, put 30 minutes of cardio in this morning before I had breakfast. But and that I wouldn't count that as my warm up, like later on today when I go to the gym, I'd still do 15 minutes on, something to do some kind of warm up, right? Because it's just better. Like you get a little bit of heart, like a nice sheen of sweat before you start picking up weights is good.
Yep, and you can get the right headspace too. Get the music going.
Well, and
try to clear out all the anxieties or thoughts you have in your head and get focused on. All right, now is time to get to work. And
then a lot of times that's when I drink my pre-workout too.
Oh, so, really? I always chug mine before I go in.
I can't though because I've like damn near thought I was having a heart attack one time on the elliptical because I drank my pre-workout all while I was driving to the gym, and I like 5 minutes in, like the oh shit, what's it called, the beta alanine kicked in, and nails are coming out of my face, and I was like, oh, I can't. I gotta. No, I love it though. If I'm not worried that I'm gonna potentially pass or fail a drug test because of the bugs under my skin.
Right. I do the I'm using a dummy email right now, so I don't have my Jay Cutler avatar, but I do the Jay Cutler. I take the full scoop, put it in my mouth, and then wash it down with a
dry scooper.
That's the way I used to do it too, but I don't like beta alanine. I need to find a non or a pre-workout without that beta. I hate that feeling. I hate it.
See, I refuse to. I've literally given away pre-workout that I paid good money for because it didn't have beta alanine in it, and then I realized I could buy it on my own, and it was over. At that point, I just started snorting it off the table.
It's great.
So, do you consider deadlift on leg days, or do you do it on your back day?
It depends. I cycle in and out of stuff. So often I will do straight leg deadlift on leg day and rack deads on back day. But periodically, I will usually incorporate it as part of legs if I'm going to do full deads. And I'll just ease off the volume slightly on back if I'm doing it that way. I think it's one of those things. It's like with the eternal dilemma of the bodybuilders: do you do traps with shoulders or do you do them with back? It's kind of similar. Like where do you place deadlifts, legs or back? I usually do them, like I said, with back day. Leg day, excuse me. if I'm doing a full dead. But about half the time I'll split it. So I'm doing straight leg deadlifts and then I'm doing rack deads. But the other half of the time I'll do deadlifts with legs, and I'll switch. If I'm going to do deads on leg day, I will not be doing barbell back squats. I'll be doing some kind of modified, like we have a couple of different machines at the gym I train at that will isolate. You can like front load it. So it just targets your quads more so. It's still a squat. It's kind of a modified squat. And I go back and forth between the two. So it's like an every other week sort of thing.
What about you, Chad?
So very similar, actually. I will, because like usually I have 2 leg days built into my week, and so on a heavy leg day where it's just I'm loading up hundreds of pounds on a barbell and I'm doing squats. I will do light deadlifts, right? Or I'll do, what is it, the Romanians with the dumbbells? I don't know.
Oh
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will mess around with that, or I'll do like the what's it called? Where it's a slower, like a pause rep deadlift. I'll do that with lighter weight, right? And it'll just be high volume. So if I'm doing low volume heavy squats, I'm doing lightweight high volume deadlifts. The other thing that I've started incorporating is deadlifting from a deficit, which I really it sucks so hard, but it's really kind of cool too. So I'll put a plate down and I'll stand on the plate, and then I'll do lightweight deadlifts off that, because I mean I'm struggling right now to get a respectable. I can't get 315 from a deficit right now, and it's like messing with my mind.
Dang.
It's brutal. Some of that stuff is brutal. People don't realize how hard it is. It's like sissy squats.
Oh, come on.
This is nothing. And you do them and you're like, holy shit.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
no, the first time I did that. So Tex, everybody knows our good friend Texas Stormer. He bullied me into doing sissy squats one time. And I was like, all right, cool. So I grabbed like a 45-pound plate and I start doing sissy squats. And I'm like, all right, I'm a sissy. And he's like, dude, put the plate down. What are you, crazy?
Yeah, you do them with. I like to do them, relatively speaking, higher reps. You do them with body weight, and you're fucking torching your quads.
You're done, absolutely wrecked. And I mean, it doesn't help that I had just did a whole mess of front squats, so like my quads were, I mean, like ruined.
Oh yeah, I was actually yesterday. Just to give listeners an example, I was supersetting between. I don't always superset. I do sometimes. Again, sometimes I feel like I need to get a bit more of a pump versus focus more in on things. It just depends on how I'm looking and feeling. But I'm probably more, I guess you'd say, instinctual than many people in how I'm training. But I was supersetting between sissy squats and straight leg deadlifts with dumbbells, and it was fucking brutal.
Wow.
So I was doing 15 reps, and I was not able to use a lot of heavy dumbbells with this in mind. I was doing 15 reps of the sissy squats, and then I was going and doing 10 with dumbbell straight leg deadlift, and it was like, oh my god, I thought I was going to die. I seriously thought I was going to die. I was like, this is horrible.
Is there a reason why you prefer? I mean, I don't know. I don't even truly know if you prefer them, but I prefer Romanian deadlifts much more than stiff leg. Is there a reason why? I like how you really can focus in on your. Like with a stiff leg, you can almost just use pure lower back to get it up. Well, Romanian, you just focus on pushing that butt back and getting the hamstring activation. And I feel that it's a must. Anytime I see somebody with a shitty deadlift or a deadlift that I don't think's up to par with their weight, especially, I always send them the Alan Thrall video, do Romanian deadlifts, because I've noticed that if your Romanian deadlift goes up, your conventional goes up basically 1-to-1. I mean, I've actually Romanian deadlift 405, and it's I just feel the carryover is great. While with stiff leg, I don't feel that same carryover. Is there a reason why you prefer the stiff leg deadlifts?
Well, I'm extremely tight, so I have to work really hard to keep myself limber and stretch. So I like the fact that I can get a really good deep stretch there. And when I do straight leg deadlift, I don't typically go super heavy on the dumbbells, but I'll go fairly heavy when I do them with barbell. But I like it because I can get that nice deep stretch, and I find I incorporate a lot of static holds, loaded stretches and stuff in my workouts as well. And I found that really has been beneficial for me. And you can focus in on your you really have to, your point is well taken. You really have to pay attention, or you're right. You're just heaving it up with your lower back, which does, that's not really what it's for.
Yeah, snap
So,
city. No.
Yeah, you really have to focus in on your hamstrings, but I like it. I like that really deep stretch. And I think that for me, it allows me to kind of focus in on that. But you're right. For the longest time, until I got into this guy, Scott Stevenson, I saw him doing him and I was like, fuck, I've been doing him wrong the whole time. So once I realized how I was doing them as opposed to how I should be doing them, it was like the light bulb went off. But your point is well taken, that it's very easy to not be doing what you need to be doing when you're straight leg deadlifting.
Cool. Yeah, Bugenhausen. Do you follow Eric Bugenhausen?
No, I don't know. I don't know him.
Oh, dude, you got to start following him. He's aesthetic as fuck, and
Okay, well.
but he created this thing. He calls it the meme RDL. He sets pins up just about mid shin level, and he RDLs. I mean, I want to say like 800 pounds. He just gets completely nuts with his RDLs, and he's the one that really convinced me on this idea that it has great carryover for your deadlift. So, and it forces you to really focus in on the hamstrings. While whenever you start from the floor, you might start off at a bad position, or whenever you start pulling, you don't quite pull all that slack out. If you start out from top, then the slack is already out. There's no slack to be pulled out to put you out of position. So, but yeah, you'll have to follow Eric Bugenhausen. Right now, he's trying to become a professional wrestler.
That's awesome. Okay, I definitely will. It's funny. This is kind of a side point, but how many professional wrestlers started out as bodybuilders?
Oh yeah, yeah.
At least WWE, that kind of stuff. I don't know if.
Yeah, you're right.
Not the Olympic guys, but
a lot of the guys start off as actual amateur wrestlers. Doing it in high school and in college, and then they end up almost being forced to do it that way. But yeah, there's a lot of they win, like most of them never get their pro card, but they'll do smaller shows and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see. So all the research really points to the reason why frequency is important is because of the adaptation, and how fast your body can adapt to that weight and then push more. And the idea in most people's eyes, not everybody's, because we have a pure bodybuilder, so that you like being strong is a secondary for you. Am I correct? I mean, it's more I really want to look good first, and then being strong is a product of looking good.
Yeah, it's a nice byproduct.
Yeah, so I say all the time that I don't actually care how strong I am. I care how strong I look. Which really make people raise an eyebrow at that, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's really only been fairly recently, within the last couple of years, that I actually was like, well, maybe it'd be pretty cool to deadlift 405. Maybe it'd be pretty cool to, I would stop at 225 on almost all of my lifts for the longest time, and then I was like, 315 would be pretty cool, and in my mind, 315 was like this monumental achievement of feat of strength, and I see there's high school kids that are pulling and pushing and way more than that, and I'm like, okay, but yeah, look, I look better than them, and okay, cool. So the strength side of things has only been somewhat of a recent thing. So like the Mike O'Haron, who does his power bodybuilding or something like that, hey, you can look like a Greek god chiseled from the best marble in the world and also be strong as hell. Cool, except that's really it's finding that balance is incredibly difficult. And I mean, the frequency aspect comes in because if you can train 5, 6, 7 days a week and hit almost you train a muscle group like a bodybuilder one day, and then you train like a power lifter the next day, or the next time you train, you can sometimes achieve somewhat of a balance with the aesthetics versus strength. But at the end of the day, I firmly believe that you kind of have to pick one, unless you're, a genetic freak that's also chemically enhanced, like Mike O'Tren.
Yeah,
Oh, come on! I thought he was natural.
Oh yeah, he's a natty vegan, of course. But
vegan. I totally agree with you on the idea of picking one. One thing though, if you keep a lower body fat whenever you are doing strength training, then you'll look pretty dang good anyway. But
it's hard though. It's very hard to keep a lower body fat because you need those calories, and a
yeah,
lot of times the easiest way to get those calories isn't necessarily the cleanest.
and then I am one of those guys at first, but I had the opposite. I was one of those guys that's like, come on, Chad, you're like 250 pounds. You should definitely be able to, pull as much as me,
No,
at
I'm actually 233 now. Okay, listen, I dropped a little bit of body fat.
That's funny. I think we're almost exactly the same weight.
Yeah.
So
I'm
That's so
I'm
funny.
almost a man according to Ripto. I'm at 185. I'm still doing the growing
yeah.
though, but I really there's a I got to the point where it's like nobody, even whenever I'd talk to people and I'd say, yeah, I work out, they'd be like, oh yeah, sure you do. I mean, they wouldn't
Yikes!
directly say that, but then I'm like sitting there, I'm like, am I really gonna just have to carry around a barbell and 400 pounds just to be like, yeah, we're here, look at me.
No one cares how strong you are. They care how tight your polo shirts are.
Yeah, well, that's another thing is I'm not a big fan of wearing the super tight shirts and stuff, so the
Neither
only
do
time,
I. I mean, an XL polo shirt somehow still, well, I don't know.
yeah,
V-necks. Wear V-necks. It
Yeah,
helps.
a deep V-neck. Make sure you
Deep
get
V.
and shave the chest when you do it.
you forget that I'm in the Midwest, and like the guys that wear V-necks are the guys that we laugh at.
Listen, I will rock cowboy boots, Wranglers, and a V-neck, and it is wildly successful.
Yeah, yeah, but you're not you're not considered the who the V-neck corporations are looking to sell to though. They're looking to sell to soy boys and stuff. So whenever and
Look, take
what my
it
mom
back. No, but take it back.
what my mom's always said was what mom always said was if you look good, you'll look good in anything. I mean, so that's
But that's
something.
true, though. That's true.
You can wear
I agree with that.
whatever
I
you
do agree.
want and it'll look all right. That's the one funny thing about beards, and this is going to be a lot of people are going to hate me for this, but beards will always make a guy look better, but it's whenever you shave it
Oh,
off that you see if they really have the face
yeah.
for it. It's beard's a good way of hiding no chin.
Yeah. No, I'm very much in the clean shaven camp. So
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, no,
I
it's
think I'm in the middle of you guys. I'm the 3-day stubble sort of deal.
see, inevitably that's what I always end. Whenever I take time off and like I just get lazy and I get out of my routine, I'll have the 5-day, 5 o'clock shadow, 5-day shadow. But then anytime it gets any sort of length, I'm like, now if I can lick my upper lip and I feel like hairs that isn't just stubble, I'm like, no, fuck it. Time to go shave everything. Can't do it.
I haven't rocked a beard since I been able to go into bars. I only wore it before I was able to go into bars.
Trick,
I
trick,
know
trick.
people like that. No, I know people that like, hey, wearing a beard makes them look older. And so that's what they go with.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you hit that threshold and you're like, yeah, I'm not trying to look older.
No, no, I'm
Exactly.
like, no, I'm done.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's
Especially
there's a couple
you see a few
links.
grays in there and you're like, fuck this.
There's a couple
Bye-bye.
links in the description box for you guys. One is from Greg Knuckles, who is an all. I want to say he's actually IPF runner up in powerlifting. But he's super smart. And then there is a breaking muscle, which is more based on the like what we started with. Push pull legs twice a week. The the idea is everything goes in a curve. If you overtrain is a thing, believe it or not. It's not near as much what people act like it is. But you can overtrain a muscle, and it's not that you're losing strength. It's more that you're not getting everything out of it, and that's what.
Yeah, you're not recovering enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to is these things, as far as this frequency and everything. If you're in the gym and you're working hard, you're doing the right thing. This idea that it's like getting the last 10% out of your gains. Do you want to leave that 10% on the table? I prefer no. But if you're in there just doing once a week, hitting every body part, you're not doing wrong. I want to kind of put that out there, that the idea of frequency is something that it's to try to maximize gains. It's not going to prevent you from getting gains if you're not hitting each muscle group twice a week, or hitting, especially bench. If you want to get a stronger bench, I've noticed that frequency, 3 or 4 times hitting bench will help your bench go up dramatically. So, but you couldn't do that with squats. I wouldn't recommend. I mean, I don't know. I guess you probably could, but squatting 4 times a week, especially heavy, would probably not be the best idea. So you have to use your brain a little bit, kids.
No, there's all the accessories, right? So you can squat one day, and then this is what I do when I'm trying to drop weight is, all right, cool. I'll do full body. Where, okay, cool. I squat today. Tomorrow I'm doing extensions and curls, and the day after that I'm doing leg press, and the day after that I'm doing hack squats. So I'm doing something. I'm hitting legs every single day. Now my volume isn't going to be as high. My volume is low, but my frequency is high.
Yep.
And it's especially on stuff like legs and back and chest, where there's these massive slabs of muscle that are going to burn a lot of calories because I'm engaging them every single day. It's wild how fast the body fat will drop.
And when it comes to that, is you look at the weekly volume. You say that your volume was low, but you do that 4 times and add it up. It's one of your
six times, 6 days a week.
6 times. Hard on. But yeah, I mean, I'm a full body gang guy. I prefer full body. I like going in there and doing some sort of squat, some sort of pressing motion, and then hitting that back. I'm trying to get away from that just because I'm getting old, and you can't just do the same stuff forever. I mean, Mark Ripito, blessed be upon his name, he's taught me a lot, and I'm definitely strong for my size. I'm not some fucking badass or anything, but for my weight and stuff, I'm a decently strong dude. And it's like I said, it's got to the point where I'm not caring as much about strength as I used to, and hitting full body every day, especially in the idea of squat, bench, deadlift, is not the best way to become aesthetic.
Well, the other thing too is people don't often think that they also have to allow their nervous systems to recover. So it's like you can't dig such a deep hole. That's why we're talking about relatively low volume if you're doing it more frequently. Because if you think you're going to go in and do 15 sets of chest and then do the same thing the next day, you are out of your mind. And not only will you have overtrained the muscle, but your nervous system also has to recover. So you really have to balance these things out.
That's a very good point. Your CNS, especially compound lifts, they hit that CNS a lot harder. Doing curls, doing 5 sets of curls every day is not the same as doing 5 sets of bench press. That's for sure.
No, and I think when I think about overtraining, that's what I think of. I don't think about, did I exhaust my muscle to the point where I have I have to go to the hospital because whatever. It's the mental aspect of because this is, going to the gym is like part of my self-care, mental health regimen, I guess. It is what I do to relax at the end of the day, right? It is how I keep myself level and centered and not turn into a crazy siege poster kind of guy. I don't know. That'd be crazy. But the idea that I am so exhausted mentally and or physically that I don't want to go to the gym that's the last place I want to be mentally, because And I've been there, like where I've sat in the parking lot, like sitting in my vehicle, looking at the front door of the gym saying, I don't want to go, but I know I have to go. And it's a tough, kind of mental hurdle to get over, where it's just like, okay, I'm here. I've managed to get to the front door, but now I have to walk through the front door, and I know that it's going to hurt, but I do it anyways. And, you have to, and at a certain point you have to take, some time to yourself. So yeah, you have to find that balance.
You're right. I mean, it would be great to just have that motivation to go in and kill it all the time. But that's where
nobody has that.
That's where the discipline. That's why there's so many people that sign up in January and are done by March, is because that goes away and they don't have the internal discipline to keep continuing on. And that's one thing that's great about PRs and strength, is that gives you that boost whenever you do hit it. While with bodybuilding, you don't. I mean, you do have that feeling, but at the same time, that's something why I wasn't a big bodybuilding guy, is because it was like there's nothing really to show for it except for the pump, and it seems like 20 minutes after the pump you're smaller than what you were before you came into the gym. You're sitting there going, what happened here?
Yeah, no, for a PR can be, hey, I found a new vein in my chest, or a PR doesn't have to be I hit a cool number.
And
I've done volume PRs. Exactly. Yeah, I've done volume PRs. I know people that have done day frequency PRs where, hey, I've gone for 55 days in a row.
Yeah, shout out to Jack. That was
I was gonna say that's who it was. Jack did it.
Yeah. I can't remember how long it was, but it was forever. It seemed like he just kept going every single day.
Yeah. But then also you have to remember that, like, life gets in the way. And some days you're going to have to stay late at work. Some days you're going to have to come in early for work, or your kid gets sick, or you have car problems. And, it's okay to, like, all right, cool. Well, I have to take care of life, because there's got to be a balance. And if your life is in absolute chaos and the only thing that's consistent is you going to the gym, fantastic, right? You've got that anchor point. But too long of that, and things are going to get out of balance for everything, and your lifts are going to suffer.
Yeah, you're 100%. If you only focus on your lifts and you don't care about anything else, your home life will suffer. And it's you would be pretty proud, though. I want to say there was 10, maybe 15 Physique Friday post.
Hell yeah!
This week, like, actually, usually you get 3 or 4. You get, Mr. Brand, who's got freaking muscles on top of muscles, and other people. But I think today, I want to say Friday there were 10. I mean, I was pretty impressed. Also, I don't know if you know, but Brand's actually been doing some heavy lifting. He's actually switched.
He has. I'm actually
very proud of him. Because I'm the strength guy, but the guy's just, muscle on top. He looks really good as far as physique goes. And then, like you've said before, he do be doing 135-pound deficit deadlifts, and you'd be like, what? Why are you? Does that even work your muscle? So seeing him, I want to say he got 435, or might have been 430. I know he got 405 for 3.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw a video clip of that.
So that was he's actually, and I don't know, I think it's just a goal for him. I don't think we really gave him a hard time or anything about it. I think he just kind of was like, I want to up my deadlift. Plus, there's nothing I don't know. Well, other than putting something over your head, deadlifting is probably the most primal movement you can have. There's no squat racks in the jungle, and there's no benches either, but since the beginning of time we were picking stuff up over our head and picking it up off the ground. So those two movements are just, it just burns the fire of our ancestors.
There's nothing quite like it, is there? Just digging in and, like, just heaving something, not heaving it, but just pulling something off the floor. It's like,
yeah,
you'd be like, yeah, it's primal. It's great.
Well, it's one of those things that you always get the goofy Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever, where it's like, what of your life, what would it be? And deadlift. It has to be deadlift. So
Yeah, I'm torn between overhead press and deadlift. I really like overhead pressing. That's something.
I've hurt my shoulders too many times. I have the saddest overhead press now. I used to have a really good one.
I think I seen you do seated 225, right?
Yeah, I think that's still like my absolute personal best. So
That's
I
insane
did
for seated.
standing 225 once, and since then I've re-injured my shoulders at least both sides at least once, and yeah, no.
I
Gotta
don't think I've overhead pressed personally, probably with a standing barbell, probably in close to a decade.
Yeah,
But
it's
the thing is, I actually started out. So my lifting journey, not to hijack this conversation,
no
but
more than welcome.
was kind of weird compared to most people. It was almost like a Phil Heath sort of journey. I actually was a basketball player, so I would train like a basketball player. And when I got to college, I fell in with a bunch of football guys, and I got into that style of training, which is very conducive ultimately to powerlifting. And so I got into powerlifting for a while. And in my mid 20s, that's when I fell in love with bodybuilding. I was getting burned out on powerlifting. I was like, which is funny because I'm a pretty like rational person. I'm oriented towards like, okay, this number and I need to hit this in this program. But I just felt something about the bodybuilding connected with me spiritually. And it's
yes.
kind of weird, but I'd get the
No.
headphones on, I'd lose myself in it. And then it's like, okay, I don't have to stay married to this one thing or do this one thing. And I can go with the flow a little bit more. And so, so I was doing, the overhead presses and all that. And I still do them, with dumbbells or a machine and stuff. But even that is not as much anymore just because I'm concerned about my shoulders. You go to a certain heaviness in it's law of diminishing returns, at least for bodybuilding purposes.
I can see that. So whenever you were mentioning go with the flow, do you guys walk into the gym and you don't? I mean, you have a plan, right? You don't just walk in and say, or is it something where it's like I'm going to hit my shoulder? Is it a very loose plan to where it's like today's shoulder day and you just find stuff for shoulders, or I mean, or do you have like me? I have written down the weights I'm going to do, the warm up sets, all that stuff. Do you guys do the? I mean, I'm guessing you guys don't do the same thing.
I used to be very, very judicious. I would also, I would definitely do the notebook thing. I think the thing is for me, it was more establishing the good habits and knowing what I needed to do. But now I go in, I have a general framework of what I'm going to do. I'll know, for example, that it's going to be heavier squats, and that sort of thing. But if I'm not feeling it or if things aren't going the way I want, I will definitely switch gears and I'll go to more pump. Or if I'm going for a pump that day, but I feel good, I feel strong, then I'll push the weights. So I leave some latitude in there. I would say I roughly know what I'm going to do, but sometimes I'll do some variation because it's a certain move isn't feeling quite right or things like that. So I'd say it's kind of like 60-40, 60 pre-planned, 40 kind of get in there and change things up as the needs dictate or as my body dictates, really.
See, I'd go almost the opposite. I'd say I'm about 30 pre-planned, 70 kind of just instinct. Or exactly like you said, like you go in and I've done this before. We're like, hey, I'm going to go hit shoulders. And next thing you know, I'm deadlifting, or I'm gonna like, whoa, how did this? Where did all these plates come from? I slipped and blacked out, and now I've got 400 pounds. No, it's generally speaking, I've done the both. Exactly like what you said. I've done the notebook thing. I've done the apps. I've done that's good. Like if I was training for a particular thing, like if I was training for a competition or I'm training to hit a particular number, writing it down keeps you honest. And that's the beauty of gains posting, right? Where all right, I have to be able to show that I did something. That was part of the origin story of that. But yeah, no, it's I think for some people the writing it down in a notebook is what's going to keep them coming back. For other people, and maybe it's an experience thing. That's my opinion. I think at a certain experience level, you either know what you're going to do, or you just know what you can do, and you know what you should do. And there is some kind of a balance that gets achieved when you walk in and, okay, I know that today is shoulders. I have a mental list of all the different things I can do for shoulders, and you just kind of run through them until, oh shit, it's been 3 hours and I'm still here, and I'm my stomach's eating itself. I need food.
Yeah, I think the other thing about writing stuff down too is for guys in their diet, that's key as well, because you can't lie about that either. That's even harder to nail down. I think the diet aspect, because training's fun, or should
Oh
be.
yeah.
You know, the diet aspect is the key. And when I really started trying to lean out for bodybuilding, I would find like, God, I'm not losing weight the way I should. And it's because I was rationalizing the extra scoop of peanut butter or this little thing here and there, or the sweets and stuff. You write it down, you can't lie. It's there right in front of your face. And it's going like, hey, asshole, you know, you you did not eat the way you are trying to rationalize that you ate. You better clean it up. And so, right, you can't lie. Numbers or diet or any of those things. It's right there in your face.
So we're getting close to closing time. What I want to do is actually ask you guys. I'm going to say a muscle group, and you tell me either your favorite lift or a lift that you feel you don't see enough, enough, or one that, like for me, one that I always use is the dumbbell pullover. I don't hardly see anybody ever using it, but it is like one of my favorite lifts because it's compound, plus it's got a lot. I feel like it's got an aesthetic feel to it where it's hitting your chest and your lats. Plus, and if you got your butt up high, or you got your butt up nice and high, you'll feel that stretch in your abs. It's so I'm gonna go ahead and we'll just start it off. We'll ask you, John, first. What is there something that you like to do for triceps that is either your favorite, or something that you feel like really just hits it the right way? Or
Yeah, I have one that I like. It's I'll see if I can describe it. I don't know what the actual name for it is, where your tricep is vertical, your forearm is going down behind your head to your to the middle of your traps with a dumbbell, and you extend it up. That I absolutely love, and I love the lying. I used to like skull crushers. They start hurting my elbows, so I do this thing where, same thing. I have my triceps up vertical. I'll be lying on a bench, and I do extensions where I'm taking the dumbbell basically from just above my shoulder to close to, but not totally locked out. Those are two that I absolutely love for triceps.
On the
So
second one,
are you doing those dumbbell tricep like lying down skull crusher type things? Are you doing single arm or double arm?
Double arm.
Oh wow, okay. So I do the same similar thing, but I will do single arm, or basically I'll have exactly like you're talking, the tricep kind of, I'm lying down, the arm is basically fully extended up, and then I'll take my non-lifting hand and I'll put it on my elbow, or I'll hold my tricep as I'm moving the weight, and to me it helps with the mind to muscle connection.
Oh, nice.
yeah. Okay. So you guys are basically doing a dumbbells skull crush. What? How would the so is your what does your palm look like whenever you're doing those? Is your palm facing in towards you, or is your palm facing up towards the air? Or?
When it's lying down, the
Yeah.
palm is towards me, or sorry, not towards me. Is the palm is facing is like vertical, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
it's
All right.
yeah, like
So
you're not necessarily suplining the dumbbell as it's coming down. You're keeping, like, I would if I'm looking up, right, the dumbbell is it's in line with my body,
Yeah.
and then as it's coming down, it stays in line with my body, because my non-lifting hand is making sure that my elbows are staying locked in, or yeah.
nice. Okay. Let's move on. Shoulders. Is there, especially, let's go with the lateral head of your shoulder. Is there anything? I personally like cable, where you hold on to the bar and you lean.
Ooh,
I've
yeah.
I feel like you get the muscles being the tensions all the way through the movement, while with dumbbells, the most tension is only at the very end of it.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like the standard standing lateral dumbbell raises, but the trick for me I found to keep the tension is don't bring them in front of your body, bring them just close to your hips, and then when you pull it, when you go up, you kind of elevate your pinky ever so slightly, like you're like a pufta drinking tea or something, but you do at the top, and you get that nice squeeze.
All right.
For me, I
It's
like that.
so I try and do. It's not a static hold, but it's like a half second pause at the top, where like if you're doing a lateral raise, you come up, like take half a breath and then lower it slowly. Yeah, it absolutely burns. But so with shoulders is another one, or with lateral raises, either front, lateral or rear delt. To me, volume is king on that one. I'll sit there with 30-pound dumbbells and just do like an ungodly amount of sets till the point where I can't even hold the dumbbell anymore.
Yeah, I'm just I'm asking this because I'm trying to make the move, and it's good to pick your guys' minds. That's really what people are here for. They're not here to listen to me talk about how strong I am for being a tiny guy. They're really here to pick your guys' minds.
That's what I'm here for.
So what about the quads? Other than I love my front squats. I can't find anything that's better. I've tried the safety bar. I've tried other things, but I've always seemed to fall back on squats. What do you guys like for the quad pump? And you feel like you really get the most return for it?
Extensions.
Those sissy squats.
Oh.
So let's explain. I might be wrong but the sissy squat's just where your feet are together.
Yeah, there's usually there's like a custom. Oh, you take it. You take it.
I was gonna say, so there's this medieval torture device contraption, where basically like you lock your feet into this device, and there's pads and stuff like that basically go in front of your ankles and then behind your calves, and you just squat. You basically you sit down and then you stand back up. Your feet don't move. They're kind of locked in, and it for whatever reason, because you're sitting down in this, and your feet are stationary, it just destroys your quads.
Okay.
Yeah, you literally don't need to use weight. You can do body weight.
So do you have to have a machine to sissy squat, or can you just put your legs together and hold on to a bar?
It's different than an air
I have
squat.
one.
It's completely different than an air squat. It's probably, if your gym has one, it's this like underutilized piece of equipment that's sitting in a corner, a little bit dusty. Like maybe there's one guy that uses it that like he's it.
Could you use it on like a hack squat?
No.
That's another one I really like, though. By the way, hack.
I do. Yeah. Have you used, by the way, speaking of particular equipment? So there's the belted squats where basically like it goes around your waist.
I wish I had one of those.
Just gonna say that we just got that at my gym. I can't.
Yeah. No, so I was talking to my gym. The manager and I talk fairly frequently, and he's getting one, and I am over the moon excited to try this because I've seen a couple of my buddies. I've seen people on training videos using them, and it looks really fun, like those very challenging.
Yeah, those are powerlifting approved, those belt squats, because they don't put the weight on your spine, and you can sit there and get it has great carryover from what I understand too. I really
Now, do you have to hold bars or something in front of you, or do you do it without holding? You just squat without holding the bar in front or stabilizing. Do you know?
You mean when I front squat?
When you use that the thing you put around your waist.
No, all the weight.
I don't have one.
All the weight goes basically on the belt that goes around your waist.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen it. Like I said, we just got it. I've seen it, and I'm like, all right, I want to try this, but I don't really know 100% what I'm doing. what I'm gonna get. So I don't want to look like some asshole, you know.
Just go to like, you got a 24-hour gym. Go at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning when there's nobody in there and just experiment.
Yeah, experiment with it till, because I saw it looks like there might be some not handholds, but like little, like a bar where you would put your hands on to sort of stabilize as you squat down. But I feel like that would be cheating, so I'm not sure.
I feel like I've seen it done both ways on the YouTube videos, where guys have actually used it, like especially to overload, where they're holding onto that bar. But I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to push with your hands. I mean,
That's figured.
Yeah, so I don't know.
I'll keep you guys posted.
Yeah, for sure. We'll go ahead and just keep moving along. Hamstrings.
I actually like seated hamstring curl.
Yes.
The one where you're okay, so not lying down. Okay.
No, well, lying down's okay and standing's okay. But for something I just get a deeper, like a squeeze when I do it seated for whatever reason.
So I will agree that the hamstring curl, but the standing, basically like you kind of lean into it and you're doing one leg at a time. I found, I can change the way I hit the hamstring, whether or not I point or flex my toe, and it changed the game. So I'm gonna have to say standing hamstring curl versus seated.
And me, I think I already talked about earlier, is the Romanian deadlift. Have you guys ever tried the glute ham raise? We have those at my gym. You guys ever use those?
I've done it with my own like body weight, sort of modified, but
yeah,
I didn't know there was an actual. Is that like a machine or something?
Well, I mean, it's not a machine, but it's a.
Is that where you put the barbell like on your hips and then kind of thrust upward and squeeze the glute?
That's a hip thrust.
That's like that's fantasy material when you see it's usually like.
I was gonna say the ladies who do it and it works.
Yeah. I see it and I'm
all for it.
I'm like, okay.
So you can find them. Like I actually own a glute ham raise. It's you lie forward with your belly facing towards the ground, but this is raised, of course, and you got pads on your hips, that are sitting on there, and then your legs are interlocked in the back in between pads, and you basically just do a hamstring curl in the air. You kind of looks like you're a vampire almost, because you're laying straight out, and then you're just using your hamstrings to bring yourself up. But it.
Oh, okay. So it's kind of like Superman's, but you're altering it slightly, so you're getting lower. Your target.
You talking about the like a hyperextension?
Hyperextensions, everything. The weight's on the back end.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So the weights are you're controlled on your back end, and you're moving your body forward, and all it's basically. I can't explain it other than it's a hamstring curl. You're basically hamstring curling, but you're moving the whole upper part of your body, the lower part of your body.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay. No, I've never done those. It sounds.
See, I will use those as a warm up before I do deadlifts.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
And then I use the machine for my ab work too. You can turn around and work your abs just as easily.
Okay.
Let's see. We'll go ahead and ask. I mean, what about traps? You mentioned that you do traps with shoulders, right?
I do them with back.
Oh, with back. That's what I do.
Usually, what I'll do is I'll do like if I'm doing rack deadlifts. Sometimes I'll mix it up. I'll do like rack deadlifts and then I'll shrug, or I'll shrug and then do rack deadlifts, or sometimes I'll combine the two, like rack dead it up, shrug, put it back down, that kind of stuff. I usually just do straight up barbell shrugs, but we have this thing. It's like a plate loaded machine, so you kind of have to like deadlift it off the ground, but then you can shrug it up. I like that too.
Yeah, I've done that.
I hate the dumbbell shrugs. I hate them.
I don't like them either.
So we also have one of those like quasi deadlift into a trap machine. I just don't like where it is physically in the gym, so I don't generally go over there. But so I'm gonna say something controversial. Smith machine shrugs. It's one of the only things I'll use the Smith machine for. I don't know why, but it's because I can basically I can do them frontwards or backward, like where I turn around and I have it behind. Oh, it's not blasphemous, Jack.
It's actually how I do mine. Also,
Yeah.
I will set the safeties up right below, like half an inch below where my bottom point is,
Yep.
and I mean and I've found that to make traps grow is heavy weight. The heavier the better. And it's easy to get a lot of weight and you can't really lose it on a Smith machine versus.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You drop a Smith machine and nobody really cares because hopefully you broke it.
Yeah.
Hey, okay. Well, never mind. We'll get to that when you say this particular body part.
Okay, so I hurt my neck doing barbell shrugs. Well, that's a bummer.
You should get it. As a trap lord, I feel like you need to change your name now.
Maybe it's trap lord as in, not the muscle.
It was an Alex Jones style, right? You remember that?
Yeah.
So we'll go to. I mean, do you guys do anything for neck? I mean, now that neck was brought up, do you guys lift anything for the neck?
Deadlifts.
I mean, yeah. I never really. I know some people actually have the little harnesses and they'll do like neck curls and stuff. Is that anything you guys have participated in?
No, I have an 18-inch neck already. I don't think I want to get any bigger.
I've seen a machine, like we don't have this, but I've seen machines in the past where you can actually put a plate on it and like move it around. I've never done it, but
I've seen that also, and no, I'm good. I'll pass on that. Like I said, I don't, unless you're doing some of the strongman like feats of strength. I don't see any advantage to directly training your neck.
It's like forearms. I feel the same way about forearms.
Yeah, like if you're doing heavy enough deadlifts, you're going to have big forearms, and you're probably going to have a solid neck just because you flex it.
That's what I was told about calves is, if you want bigger calves, deadlift 500 pounds. I was like, well, but, this was a long time ago, so it's, or it was whenever I started powerlifting. Well,
I don't
wasn't really
ever
that
see
long
powerlifters train calves directly. Is that
no? So I'm going to go ahead and Wyatt. We all know Wyatt. He made the point and says if you want to have big calves, become a big person, right? So he's like, you never see a 300-pound guy that doesn't have big calves, right? So you get really fucking huge, and then you cut back down, and then boom, big calves.
Yeah, no, powerlifting does not. You don't. Really, they don't even have you do, at least with like Ripito, barbell curls or anything. He'd rather you just do banded curls, for elbow health. It's not anything. You just go mad and do your fives. But all right, so calves. I don't have small calves. I found out, in comparison, but I definitely feel like that's something that I could bring up. Is there anything? Someone was it? It might have been you, Chad, where it's like toes in, toes out.
Yeah, so I've experimented a lot with various like toes in, toes out on a couple different things. But with calves, standing calf races. If your gym has one of those machines, I firmly believe it's by far the best. One of my gyms has one. One of my gyms has the other, where it's seated. And I feel like when I start going heavier weight wise, the seated, it starts to really hurt my knees, right? And so I generally will do less weight when I'm doing seated calf raises. But if I have the opportunity to do the standing, then I will push the weight a little bit harder.
We have the I think it's called donkey calf where you bend over.
Oh, that is my fucking favorite.
Is it? I've never really. I think I messed with it twice, but I don't really.
Oh, I love it because you get such a nice deep stretch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so that's the idea with them, though.
Don't do is tibialis raises where you basically raise the front of your foot.
Yeah.
Now, so your heel will be on like a block or something, and you raise the front of your feet. This is kind of an obscure one, but it does give the calves that nice rounded look.
Nice. So
I got that one from Ty Green. The pineapple fucker.
It will also. I thought it was a grapefruit. Anyways, no,
will
also.
Well, I haven't seen the video, but
oh shit! I'm outing myself. No, the doing the tibialis raises will actually help prevent shin splints also. So
what? Okay, let's try. So you have a board under the front part, or a plate. A plate would work, or no?
you do it under your heels. So on a traditional calf raise, you're doing, basically everything up on your toes.
Uh-huh.
This, you're doing it on your heels, and you're basically raising your toes, raising and lowering your toes.
Okay. How would you weight that though? Just like you put.
I don't usually. I just do them high reps.
Okay.
Yeah.
Body
You
weight
can do this
reps.
banded too.
All right. I know I'm forgetting stuff.
Chest.
Is there
Smith incline press.
Oh, I knew it. Oh, disavow.
I hate asking people for spots too. So that's
Oh,
I love it. Love it.
oh
Love it.
man. You know who? Damn it. I knew
I knew what you were that you were not gonna be too fond of that, but oh my god. Absolutely love them.
I'm a dumbbell chest guy. I will do dumbbells 100%. I hate benching. Hate it. I don't like it. And I rarely will do it. And so dumbbells all the way. You're not in bad company though with your incline Smith machine. I know some very large, strong, aesthetic guys that do the incline. Ugh.
So there's this guy that is at my work, and I didn't, I thought he looked great, as far as it goes, but I guess he used to lift a lot, and I guess he still does, but he's almost in his 70s. I didn't realize he was that old. I figured he was in his 50s or whatever. And he told me, and this is going back, I don't even know, back to the triceps and chest, is he said on the Smith machine, get it to where the bar will be right at the bottom of your sternum, and then do close grip like that with a Smith machine. And I tried them; they're pretty good. It was definitely different, actually having the bar, because you're on a Smith machine, so it's not going back. Because usually when I do my benching, I do bring the bar down lower because I do it powerlifting style. But whenever having the bar way out at the middle of your belly on the extension, it was weird. It definitely hit your triceps more than what.
No, it is advantageous to, basically it takes away the vertical axis mistakes, where it's a set path. The bar will go up and down only. So I've done the close grip, tricep work with a Smith machine. I just don't like it.
It was different, like I think I told you guys probably 10 times, I'm switching so that I'm kind of just trying new things, and it's kind of what you got to do.
Yeah. I tried Smith machine bent over like single arm rows not that long ago. I know Brand loves them, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna try this out, and yep, don't like it.
All right,
I tried it though.
We're about to close here. Go ahead, John. How can we get a hold of you and give us some parting words, some parting wisdom?
Well, if you guys want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at anatomicallyok. I have a blog that I run called the anatomicallycorrectbanana.com if you want to go read some more political
best name ever.
And social stuff. What's that?
So that's just the best title ever for a blog.
Thank you. If anybody feels the need to email me, it's tacb@protonmail.com. I do accept submissions for the blog, so if you have some stuff you want to write about. And and I have a podcast called The Cocktail Hour, which you can find on Spreaker. And parting words, I also love dumbbell pullovers. I'm obsessed, in fact. And very few things hit the serratus like those too. So it gives you that really, if you wonder why bodybuilders from the 70s look so much better than bodybuilders now, I know, hot take. That's why. Because they used to do it.
I love this. Yeah, it definitely hits your serratus. Also, we shout out to Mr. Cribble. He said you might be too smart for him because he's tried to listen to some of your your podcast, which I enjoy your podcast. That's how I got in touch with you, is through your podcast. And he was just like, I think he might be too smart for me.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
yeah, I told him, just bring it back. Go
skip
back
the
to earlier,
monologues. Tell them just skip the monologues then.
go back to earlier episodes. I think because of your last episode, you said this is part of the last episode. Where you said in your monologue, it might have been in your monologue, where you're like, if you really want to know what's going on, listen to the episode before this.
Oh yeah, because it wouldn't have made sense out of context. Yeah.
So I think that's where you got
Yep.
lost.
Yep, that probably is it.
But and Mr. Chad, we know that you are against all social media except for on the Telegram and talking to dweebs like me. What do you got to say?
You can't find me. No, it's not that you can't find me. I'm just not out there. Yeah, take the nature pill. Get off the internet and go visit some trees. It's almost fall and apple picking. I don't know. No, I'm around. I generally reach out to certain people. There's plenty of folks that know how to get a hold of me. Yeah, I don't like social media anymore. It's bad. Twitter's poison.
Yeah, you definitely have advocated that many a times.
I will continue to advocate that. It's
I'm not mad at you for it.
In all seriousness, and that's one of the best things about this show that we're doing now is it's we're not talking about politics because they're fake, and yeah, no, we don't need to. So why get on Twitter and just yell into the void of nonsense? No, get off the internet, go hang out with people in real life, and go to the gym with your friends. I've recently started taking a couple new people to the gym, and it's wild how much it will change somebody's life. You take somebody that has had no gym experience whatsoever, and then you get them their first pump, and yeah, this is how we become successful in life. I measure my success based off of the success of the other people around me, and I'm feeling very successful these days.
Nice.
And I wouldn't have time to do that if I was sucked into the chasm of social media.
Yeah, you really have to self-limit on that shit. Like, I like to use it for networking and just making people aware of what I'm up to, articles and things. But if you're not careful, you're right. You'll be sucked into that thing, and 3 hours later, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I've just been scrolling, and it's by design, obviously. So yeah, that's great advice. Keep that stuff to a minimum if you feel that it's a necessary evil.
Yeah. You can follow my Twitter at iModernSister. But yeah, so it's been great talking to you guys. Next episode, I believe, is on volume frequency, so it'd be time. How much time should you be spending in the gym and why? I think that's the next, if I can remember correctly. But I'm hoping in 2 weeks. It might not be in 2 weeks. We're trying to. It's getting to be. What are you eating, Chad?
I'm sorry. I'm making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I'm about to go to the gym. Sorry.
Jeez, hold on for about 2 more minutes.
I'm hungry.
It's getting to be wrestling season, and I'm usually gone on weekends for wrestling season because my boy is the wrestler. So we'll see if we can't bring home a state championship this year. He was runner up last year. This year he might. It's sad saying 6-year-old state champion. Jeez Louise, I feel like a fucking weirdo. But we'll go ahead and end it there. I will say see you guys, and the PB and jelly pill. Bye.